Hello friends! Have you ever seen cage homes or coffin cubicles? That's what the residents of one of the most expensive cities in the world, Hong Kong, called bedspace apartments. What you're about to see will certainly shock you. After all, if you look into the corners of this metropolis that are hidden from the eyes of most tourists, you'll see how tens of thousands of Hong Kongers live in rooms the size of a berth. Every year, Hong Kong tops the rankings of the cities with the highest cost of living and the most billionaires living there. The housing issue is especially acute in Hong Kong. Every 30th resident of the city lives on or below the poverty line, and thus the poorest Hong Kongers end up living in metal cages or boxes, where one could only lie down. This critical situation developed because the entire territory of Hong Kong belongs to the government. Moreover, only 70% of the land that is being leased through auctions is used for residential development. These auctions are usually won by wealthy foreign or Chinese developers. They build houses and then charge high rents, taking advantage of the limited market and lack of price controls. Many landlords practice renting the so-called divided apartments or subdivided apartments. They usually look a lot like hotels or Soviet communal apartments with shared kitchens and bathrooms. There are also extreme options called coffin cubicles or cage homes, when one room is divided with the help of plywood into an almost infinite number of beds, 0.8 to 1.5 meters wide. They are rented out to newly arrived seekers of a better life for a price starting at $250. Unfortunately, it wasn't the authorities of the metropolis, but ordinary photographers who became interested in such shocking living conditions. For example, Benny Lam had spent 4 years looking for people willing to show their exceptionally small apartments. He was so shocked by the terrible truth about the other side of life in the prosperous metropolis sparkling with neon signs that he decided to create a project called Trapped. During the 4 years, he only managed to visit 100 coffin cubicles because a lot of people weren't just shy about their housing, but were also afraid that the owners would find out what they did and simply kick them out onto the street. Recalling his first impressions of the conditions people were living in, he said, "That day, I came home and cried. I felt so bad. Living like that should never be normal. Living there is like sitting in a cage, in a trap. It's scary to even imagine the unsanitary conditions those people are living in." It is unknown how the authorities reacted to the publication of the living conditions of some of the metropolis residents, but they announced their plans to demolish old buildings and build housing with the most rational distribution of space. However, some Hong Kongers will have to continue living in such terrible conditions for at least another 13 years. At the moment, concepts are being developed to create 2 artificial islands in the water area adjacent to the Lantu Island and provide transport access to them. The Hong Kong authorities plan to build 260,000 apartments there, 70% of which will be social housing. However, the construction of the much-needed housing will begin no sooner than 2025, and the first tenants will be able to see their new apartments only in 2032. And this is provided that the authorities don't change their mind and do allocate at least $80 billion to this project. One can only hope.